welcome back to another edition of Sound the Cyrens. I'm your host, Thomas Orness, and last night was one for the ages, that's for sure.
Sure was. It was a fun game to watch, and probably one of the best basketball games recently. But I think people are overshooting it a little bit as being, an all-timer. I mean, you can go down the list of a lot of better games, but it was kind of ugly because all the technicals and everything. But it would have been a great one to steal.
Very weak technicals. My God.
Well, I mean,
if that's John Calipari, they do not call those technicals on him. It's for some reason those refs had something up their butt.
Well, okay, so I noticed this live that we're 90 seconds into the game, and Drew is losing his mind with one of the refs because of our physical play on defense, and because we had like 2 turnovers right away.
Yeah.
And he's saying something to the refs. He's in his face, and then he said, "You need to blow it," or kept going on and on about that. And then when he got his first tee, he was standing on the 3-point line.
Yeah,
he had a foot on the 3-point line.
That one tee is fine, but the last one, that is egregious.
But I didn't see what we don't know what he said. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
But most technicals are not, unless it is like Johnny Orr running out on the floor, or calling somebody's mother something,
or Bobby Knight throwing a chair. Right.
It's always a buildup, and I hate to say it, but the refs sometimes they're human beings too. The ref that called the second one might not have realized that they already had called the first one.
Yeah.
And then he ends up getting run out. But then the third one, the bench wouldn't shut up. So, I listened to a Baylor podcast, unfortunately, on the way over here, and all they did was talk about the officials. I mean,
we would have done the same thing.
But
if that game was at Hilton, we would have burned the place to the ground.
So those technicals, because we didn't get the ball, there's just free throws. We're basically like 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
And we scored in the turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I mean, I think it's a little overblown on the officials.
It brought us back in the game.
Right. It was a big. No, I'm not disputing that. It was
that
a
doesn't
big
happen.
part of the
We're
game.
buried. We lose by 20.
That I don't agree with. I don't think that necessarily happens. But because we were hanging around the 9 to 10 most of the time, and then we went on the 20-0 run.
I would say that if Gilbert was the only one making threes, and Gilbert was the only one on offense making anything.
He was the only one shooting threes.
Yeah, no.
We can't beat a team like that shooting whatever it was, 12 threes.
And they're 50% from 3, and Milan only shooting 2 threes, and I guess the one that didn't count obviously would have been a third one, which would have been the buzzer beater to win it. But
and one of his threes was the first possession of the game.
Yeah,
and we got a rebound, easy putback, and blow it.
I want him to shoot 10 threes a game.
Yes, I do too.
At the very least, because I think Robert Jones is touching the ball way too much. Like, we're putting our ball on not our playmakers in our offense. We need to figure out some zone offense. We were not doing very great on zone offense. Like, we had decent sets, but we just did not make the layups or like the floaters, easy jumper, like easy just bank it in rather than just trying to lob it over the 7-footer. Lipsy did it a couple times. Robert Jones did it a couple times. Ward, I don't think he's made a floater in like 4 games, so he should just stick to dunks and lobs. But I don't know if it's just. And also the second half when Robert Jones got to the free throw line.
Let's stay with the first half for a second. So good. So I remember this live because I said it to we're sitting there with your mom and anybody else was sitting in the room, and we missed before the first TV timeout. We missed 4 point-blank bunny shots. They were not contested. I mean, the rebound on Momcilovic's first 3 is a putback that's easy, and we miss it. And we get a stop on the Baylor end, and Taman throws an unforced turnover down the sideline and just throws it to one of the Baylor guys. And then we get a block with Hassan as another stop. But somebody needs to teach Hassan not to jack it into the stands every time he blocks a shot. But he needs to have some finesse a little bit to keep it in bounds so then we have a chance to get the rebound or tip it to himself. Because every time he blocks it, he tries to see how far he can knock the ball away.
But the fourth block it went right back to Baylor and they hit a 3.
No, that was in the second half. That was in the first half. I'm not talking about that one. But most of because you're right, he blocked it directly to a Baylor guy. But again, it's because he's hitting it so hard. I mean, if you watch really good shot blockers, you don't have to block it. You have to see how much distance you can get on it when you swat the ball away. You need to be able to get the ball back.
I don't know.
I mean, that's my point. But so that was all before the first TV timeout, and I said at the time, I said that's going to come back to haunt us.
Just from my point of view, if we're not to a point where we can complain about it. We have had like 3 shot blockers your whole life, and we're now complaining about
I'm not complaining. No, I'm saying somebody just needs to show him.
I know, but
talk to him about it. I mean, he needs to. If he changes that, he makes him a completely different player.
It's also very hard to block shots and not get fouled. Every time they go for a block shot, it's a foul every single time. Most of the time, like 80% of the time, no matter what, the refs just call it. Even every level of basketball, from 7th grade to college, the NBA.
Well, if he doesn't take a swing at it so hard, he might not get as many fouls either.
Yeah, and him fouling out with 4 minutes left.
That was huge. That was because I mean and don't get me wrong, I am a huge Hassan Ward fan.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I'm just saying it will take him to another level if he can figure out a way to block the shot and get the ball or be able to tip it to a teammate.
Yeah, it's like criticizing his play because we know he could do better, and like it's versus like Robert Jones getting the free throw line. That's just a turnover every time. Yeah. Like the Ward going out with 4 minutes left, like Robert Jones being in there, I was like screaming at the TV, like if Baylor could just foul him every time, it's just a turnover. Because it literally single handedly gave him momentum when he airballed that free throw. Yeah. Like the place went crazy, and
well, I mean, you and I were just arguing about this a little bit, but I think it grazed the rim, and they never reviewed it. And ESPN is getting so bad. It is. I mean, when you watch the CBS game with Kansas and then watch an ESPN game, it's like watching, Channel 13 versus a high school broadcast. Yeah. I mean, ESPN is awful. I mean, they never showed the replay. Nobody even caught it.
Well, they replayed damn near everything. They went to the monitor for every little thing. Like literally the last.
But no, I'm talking about ESPN. They don't show replays of plays.
No, they show the crowd every 3 seconds.
Right. Then the cupcake thing, whatever the hell that was.
The TV angle. Obviously, this has been beaten to death, but the TV angles for the Baylor, they have to figure that out. And that is just terrible.
I got acclimated to it after a while, but it is bad.
But you build arena. That should be like one of the first things you do. Like we're going to broadcast this on ESPN, or I don't know. They'll get it figured out, hopefully, because, man, that's just hard. Maybe I don't know. The new arena, though, looks sick, and they have a huge, it's built perfect for basketball, and, the shenanigans with Scott Drew, and I think that just kind of overhyped the game. Was actually good. There's a lot of baskets made. We were getting, we had 18 turnovers for Baylor, which really didn't execute on a lot of them. But I don't know. If Curtis Jones, if Keshon's the only one's hitting threes, we're not going to win that game.
Well, but like I said, I mean, when we made all those threes against Kansas, and we took 14 attempts against the team that plays all zone.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting the ball inside, but you're right. I mean, we're missing those little floaters that are 5 feet away from the basket, and we right now have nobody that can make that shot consistently.
And when you miss 5 or 8 of them, that is just so demoralizing. Yeah. I feel like it's in the back of minds of all the players because they're kind of scared to even shoot them. The only really one that I'm confident with a floater right now is Curtis Jones. My God, he gets the right angle and just nails it every time.
He's playing really well. I mean, he's a little up and down for consistency from the 3-point line, but he's playing lights out otherwise. And that's the other thing too. We didn't get much from the bench. I mean, Jackson played 2 minutes and
he needs to shoot it.
Right, exactly. I was screaming that at the TV too. He's a 40% 3-point shooter. And when was the last time he took one?
Yeah, I don't know. I think someday I think the light bulb will go off with him where he just goes for it because we need a spark off the bench for offense. I don't know. Watson's not going to do that.
Watson, I mean, he's up and down, but man, he gives it his length is such a problem from some teams, and especially when you're playing Baylor. We're playing against a long team. We need DeMarion to be in there.
Yeah.
But here's a funny stat for you. I just looked it up because I was thinking about it today. That new Baylor place holds 7,000 people, and the women got beat at UCF yesterday in front of 1,000 fans. So you combine the Baylor crowd for the men's game and the UCF crowd for the women's game, it's still below the number of people we had at the women's game against Oklahoma State.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Combine those two crowds, there's still 1,000.
Iowa State women?
The Iowa State women at Oklahoma State Oklahoma State at home, we had roughly 10,000 people there. And between the two games between the men's game and the UCF game, they had 8,000 people there total between those two venues and 2 games.
And I think the women's basketball, that was just going to keep growing, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because Audie Crux I think if she stays 4 years, her 4th year, man, she's going to be, she's already fantastic.
Yeah, got freshman of the year, freshman of the week, 4 times. But my point is, Baylor's new thing might be fantastic. I know they put the camera in a really goofy place. They didn't have to do it. I've seen video of where they could have put it. But still, they shrunk their stadium to make it look better.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't fill it even when they won a national championship.
Texas did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, just thank God.
And don't tell me, don't you Duke people out there say, well, Cameron Indoor is the same size. Cameron Indoor is a iconic place that's been around forever. Nobody is building a 7,000 seat arena for Division I basketball right now.
But if they made Hilton right the first time, thank God, because hopefully they never make a new stadium or arena, because that would be awful. That'd be a sad day. If that ever happens.
Well, there would be a lot of pushback.
Yeah, but that'll never happen, because that arena.
I think they're supposed to be. I think that weren't they supposed to do a bunch of new renovations to it, but it got put on the sideline for a little while because of the Cytown thing.
Yeah, and COVID and all that jazz. So yeah, the first half was very up and down. Keshon ended up with a banked in three, which was huge because cuts the lead to what was the third 12 or something like that.
Yeah,
but it was just some momentum.
Yeah, it's 12, I think.
Some momentum going into the half, and it was such a weird game. It was so up and down. Going into the game, I was not expecting to win at all, because it's very hard to beat Scott Drew 4 times in a row.
Right.
And I heard on the broadcast, we beat him 3 times in a row before that game. Before that, Baylor beat us 9 of 10 times.
Yeah.
That is just egregious. But Baylor's a great, obviously, program. And Scott.
Scott. I don't like Scott Drew. Scott Drew's a good guy. I've always liked him since he went into the locker room with Fred.
But the antics versus look at a Fran game. How many where they don't throw him out?
Right.
Versus
that's
what
true.
Scott Drew again.
Yeah, that's true.
How many times where Fran just goes nuts and they don't do anything, and Scott Drew just steps over a line. Who knows what he said? Obviously, he could have said something bad, but
that's what if you think about it, they're trying to get the students at Baylor, right on the court, but they're right behind the bench.
Yeah,
and so it's really hard for an official to decipher. Is it one of the players or a coach yelling, not Drew, but an assistant yelling, or is it some moron from the student section behind in the Baylor student section yelling at him? So I don't know.
But I don't know. We can talk about the negatives of the game, but I think we lost, but we landed on a bank 3 where we could have won by 0.2 or 0.3 or whatever. But obviously that's got Milan has the clutch gene.
Yes,
the Houston game, if that goes, that counts. We got the Houston shot, and then that is just highlights film on itself, because those are big time shots, and the play, they should have had time to draw up the play. We had 0 timeouts. That was a gift, and it was kind of a give and take. And it's we could have. There should have been 2 seconds on the court. I still don't understand why they if in that point, whatever 3 seconds, if we would have turned around and shot it. Would have that counted?
That's what we said when we were watching. What if we would have shot a full court shot and made it? No, because they blew the whistle.
Why did they take the seconds off then?
Well, they said the clock started early before the ball came through. Before the ball got into Trey's hands, and they caught it. The ref saw it out of the corner of his eye and stopped the game to correct it. But then he gave it to the ball on the sideline, which I thought they were still, because Trey got the ball right under the basket.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense either.
Yeah, so that was a little goofy.
If that goes in, Baylor would have gone absolutely insane.
They still are. I listened to their podcast and whatever. All they did was bitch about the officials. They just said how, I think it said it was something about it's like Mr. Rogers getting thrown in jail or something like that. And they're comparing Scott Drew to saying he's a Hall of Fame coach.
But for that to be his first time being ejected, I bet you if they go back in the archives of the 22 years or whatever, how long he's been there, I think he's been there almost equally as Kirk Ferentz has been at Iowa, but man, he's probably had way more blow-ups where he didn't even get remotely thought about toss. But
yeah, I don't know.
It was such a weird game, and the announcers. I don't know. Maybe it's just an Iowa State fan. I'm just very sensitive in watching the games, but it just feels like the announcers are cheering for Baylor the entire time. Yeah. It's are we on the Baylor network? Obviously we're on the Longhorn network next. Are we on the Baylor Horn Network or whatever now? What
about the end where the guys going, "Oh no!" after Milan's shot went in, like he just lost the game himself.
Must lost some bets on DraftKings.
Yeah, exactly. That was weird.
Very weird.
Yeah.
I don't obviously we watched the highlights before we started this podcast, and I don't know if I'll ever watch that again. But
I watched the whole first half, beginning to end, and then we got the the non-commercial version of it. We watched the second half, and I wasn't like gut punched when the game was over. I mean, because you're right. I mean, we could have easily gotten rolled in that game. I don't think, go back, watch the first half. We were hanging around and we just were stagnant on offense and couldn't make those close shots. So I think, there's, I have no idea, but we could have possibly made a run even without the help of the tees. But probably the biggest advantage of Drew getting tossed is that he wasn't on the bench anymore.
That's true.
And now you got an assistant running the show.
Yeah.
And they were arguing a little bit too. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah. And I don't know. I thought in the moment, I'm like, this could go the other way. Like, this could give Baylor way more momentum and just throttle us, and it's just over. Yep. And they want, and then on my other brain, I was like, they have made everything, and they're going to go cold. And they went cold for 3 minutes, and we really didn't take advantage of it. That's where we should have buried them.
They still shot 52% from the 3-point line.
And almost lost. And almost lost by 0.3 or whatever. That is insane.
We out-rebounded them on the offensive rebounds.
Which they hammered us for 4 or 10 minutes every time. It was like, oh, they're just terrible boxing out. But every three was just way huge. Like the rebound was way over our head and long rebounds.
Then the one guy was saying, we passed it around the outside and shot a three. Only time we did it in the first half. And the guy goes, Iowa State's got to get it inside. And that's all we'd been doing is getting it inside and couldn't score. So, that was not a high level. I mean, more after watching the Kansas game on CBS, we're spoiled.
That's kind of a hard thing to put in these guys that I've never heard of, these announcers, and we go from the CBS theme music and Bill Raftery and the
Jay Wright. What was it? Jay Wright said, things that don't come back are dogs that chase cars and teams that miss free throws. Boy, he nailed that one.
Yeah, we could not make a damn free throw to save our lives, and it's so whenever any Cyclone goes to the line, I'm not confident at all.
Yeah, it's we think we're frustrated. What's TJ and Nate Schmidt and all those guys?
And the thing is, they probably go to practice and make everything.
And it's just a psychological thing right now, and it's such a hard thing to do. I mean, to get kids over the psychological side of the free throw thing, but
when you're gonna get on a good groove, you can stack good games on. But man, we have stacked bad games. We haven't shot good free throws in years. Where we've had 80%.
Bob Jones mechanically is still
it's a turnover.
Yeah, I mean he's 50% from the line on the year, and so is Hassan. And so
you can't be shooting the same percentage as the other team is shooting from three for the free throw line.
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, this didn't hurt. This game didn't hurt us.
No,
it probably helped us a little bit as far as the analytics go, which I really don't. I get so tired of listening to talk about Ken Palm and all that stuff. I mean, don't care. I mean, the thing that I did take out of this game is that I 1,000% agree with Bill Self, is that this lack of a round robin dilutes the winning the conference thing. Because how much fun would it be to bring Baylor back to Ames on the rematch sometime in the next few weeks, and we don't get to play them again?
We don't?
No.
I didn't realize that.
No.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does.
That would have been a great game, and Scott Drew loves Iowa State. And I think Iowa State loves Scott Drew equally because I don't find a fan that hates him because he's always been I remember vividly before he took the court after we beat North Carolina, he came into our locker room and was like, Big 12, baby, let's go. What other coach does that?
He's just kind of a goofball.
Yeah,
but man, he can recruit.
And he's been there forever, and it's just obviously Iowa State's ebbed and flowed ever since he's been there, but it's just obviously it just felt like the refs were just stepping on this great game that was could have been back and forth, and they just reviewed every 2 seconds and kicked Scott Drew out, and it's just
Scott Drew out and then called another one. So I told your mom, I said, they call another T, one of the assistants is gone. So
What if all the assistants get kicked out?
So if they call another T, and the guy that took over, he's gone. Yeah, I mean, we're down to student managers or the player coach thing. One of the seniors is going to have to step up.
One of the announcers probably come out and coach for Baylor.
I don't know.
From what they were talking, but I don't know. It's just
Dave Aranda, maybe.
It just sucks when I knew when we were making all those free throws, cut to 4 with the T. I'm just we should not be close to this game. We're down they are shooting 50% from 3. They're killing us. Killing it at the time.
But we were down about 9. We're in the 9 to 10 range that whole time. And then when the free throws came around, it spun it around to 4. That was the turning point. But we weren't it wasn't like we were down 15 We were at one point like in the first half.
But it felt like we couldn't get over the hump.
Right,
and,
I agree.
The refs put us over the hump, and
Right.
we just didn't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
We made the free throws. Like, Chris Jones nailed the free throws. But, and Lipsy missed a couple down the stretch, and Keshon's bonehead, like, the guy was injured, and, like, he was limping down the court, and Keshon just thought he was kind of, like, out of the play and just threw it to him and turned around, stole it, and Bert, like, somehow magically is okay and just runs down the court and one Trey King, which Lipsy could have had and one.
Should have.
But the thing and one is, like, there's no guarantee that he makes a free throw, so it's like we can't really complain about that.
No, I mean, I'm not going to. I mean, really, I don't think any Iowa State fan can complain about the shake we got from the officials
That was
last night.
Probably the most, like, favorable ever.
Right.
That we've gotten ever in a close game on a ranked team where they've won the national championship not that long ago. And, man, that just felt weird. Like, that would never, like, imagine if that was at Allen Fieldhouse. There's never been, like, a 16th of that for Iowa State.
No.
We always had to, like, we have to make at least 9 threes to win this game, like, in Allen Fieldhouse or, like, tough games on the road. But it just felt like we should have had that one. So especially with Milan nailing the three at the end, just kind of caps it, like, damn, we should have had that one.
That's a hard play to get. Run that play in 1.2 seconds.
Yeah.
Especially with Milan.
Should have been 2.
It should have been. I mean, if putting my coaching hat back on, I mean, you need to reverse it. Trey caught the pass on the inbounds play. It should have been something possibly to get Milan the ball at the top of the key on one pass. So there's no more passes. He's just going to spin around and shoot because he's capable of doing it.
And the coaches are like. Backing the coaches here, the coaches maybe thought they had 2 seconds. They didn't know when they're drawing at the play at the time.
That's true.
They were reviewing at the time. They didn't know that they had less time, and they didn't know obviously. Like there when he was what's his name
Nate Schmidt.
Nate Schmidt was drawing up which he's a freaking offensive mind.
Well, that was. I mean, we didn't draw that up. We'd run that play in practice many times.
But like we shouldn't have had that timeout, and it should have like we put it on the side. But last time, if we would rather have it should have been under the basket 2 seconds. Yeah. Which we probably would run the same play and same result.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. I mean, if we have the ball 2 seconds under the basket, we're probably run the same play, except you can't run the baseline in that case because it was not on a made shot.
And also that when that happened, I'm just like, this is a great example. Like, obviously, it wasn't like what the NBA. It was like, obviously, it was like kind of like the same area, but like a little closer. If we can just advance the ball somehow.
I said the same thing.
That was just like, how many buzzer beaters are we missing out over 20, 30 years of what we could have had? Or especially March Madness. March Madness, that would create so many more buzzer beaters, so many more like great clips and like moments. But for some reason, college basketball is the last. I don't know if. I think girls basketball does it in high school. I don't think men's or boys do that either.
No, boys don't. But women's do it this year, right?
It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, why can't we do that? Like
why are we still 2 halves?
Yeah, it just doesn't.
Only level of basketball that plays halves.
It doesn't have. I think it has to do with TV timeouts. Probably.
Who knows?
Because
I mean, if you go back to quarters like high school is and AAU is and most AAU and the NBA and go to quarters, I mean, you've got 2 more buzzer beaters possibly per game. Mm-hmm. So it makes the game more exciting. And you also have a built-in TV timeout that you can run. It doesn't interrupt the game because there's a break between quarters.
It also gives teams more reps of running those plays for buzzer beaters.
Right.
Like how many times have we like Jamie Vanderbeeken was like what the last time like I texted that in the group chat like this is kind of karma for the joy we got from the Jamie Vanderbeeken 3 because if
that one didn't count.
If the game is televised, we don't win that game.
Right.
Like it's that simple and like it's just funny because like Greg McDermott was playing his former coach or Fred was playing Iowa State was playing his former coach the year after he left, which is mind-boggling that happened.
That was in Wells Fargo too.
It was great. What a great game.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jake Anderson. What a dog. He was freaking good. I think he would be great on TJ's system. Like he was freaking great player.
He was transferred to Northern Illinois.
Illinois. Yep.
Where he came from.
We've had so many transfers that we forget about those ones.
That Dunn kid for Nunn from Baylor was a Iowa State commit at one point.
Yeah, which I didn't realize that until
because he played with Hassan, I believe, at
really?
VCU. Yeah.
Which, He's good, and I don't know. I just hope we can play him again, like the Big 12 tournament game or something.
Yeah.
We're kind of creating a fun back and forth. Because like going forward, it's going to be Kansas, Baylor, and Iowa State. Like obviously, we have so many freaking teams coming in. Like Arizona, Kansas, Iowa State. Like
playing Kansas is playing Houston next year in Mexico City.
That's crazy. But like just think of a week that we can play at Kansas, and then we can play the next week. We play at Arizona, and then
I don't like the lack of round robin thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like I said, I agree with Bill Self. It diminishes the importance of one or the how cool it is to win the conference when you don't have to play on everybody else's home court. But there's no way to do it anymore because of all of the it's about TV money. We're trying to get eyes in Arizona. We're trying to get eyes in Florida. But so those days are gone unless we split into divisions and we play a round robin in the division, which I don't know if that'll happen or not either. But the thing we've got to work. I mean, I'm hoping we make a step forward on our out of bounds plays underneath the basket too, because we're still not getting anything out of them. And Baylor is like 50% scoring on out of bounds plays under the basket. When was the last time we scored an out of bounds play under the basket?
Yeah, that's like one of my few criticisms of the TJ era. Like that's the only thing that hasn't really improved since the Pro era. We have not had any out of bounds plays. We barely even get in sometimes.
Yeah,
we just
throw a lot of them over the top.
Yeah,
and don't get anything out of it. But maybe saving them, maybe saving them for the tournament or something. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when they threw that stat out, the Baylor scores 50% of the time under the out of bounds play under the basket. I said, wow, that is it also has to do with the fact they're so stinking big too. I mean,
yeah, they're long.
They're as long as usual. They always are.
And when a team makes every three,
yeah,
how are you gonna win?
And we almost did.
And like, there was a point like with like 5 or 6 minutes left in the second half where we went zone. I'm like, why the hell are we going zone? Like they've made like 4 threes in a row, and like that's the last. Like they just get a wide open three.
Well, I mean, I think BYU did it too, didn't they? They took advantage of our traps and found the guys in the opposite corner, and that's what Baylor did. There's a couple guys that were playing horse yesterday that they were shooting uncontested threes, and I hate to say it, you're not gonna be able to get a guy that's a Division I shooter to miss a three in the corner standing there by himself.
And some of these are lottery picks.
Yeah,
that are just nailing them. So and at home, and just can't happen. But we're obviously nitpicking, and we're 12th in the.
And don't get us wrong. I mean, we're
12th, and we're not expecting to go win at Baylor. Like we've won 4 times in like the last 25 years there or something crazy. So it just sucks because we felt like the refs handed us a gift and we didn't take it.
Yeah, but I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't overly over the top bummed when it was over. I mean, it was great experience for our kids.
But those type of wins are the ones we need to win the conference, which we just with our great teams we just sometimes just.
But man, there's such a log jam at the top of the conference right now. I mean. We got to go to Texas Tuesday and then TCU at home Saturday. So, man, if we can get both those two, we'll be sitting pretty good.
Like, we can get those two, and then Brock Purdy's playing the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Yeah, that's right.
It's insane.
That's right. So and I saw Josh Pate on Twitter today somebody asking about a team that'll make a big turnaround next year, and he's said Iowa State's trying to ride the recruiting wave of Brock Purdy. So,
yeah,
we'll see. Got Alec Mansky from Algona, junior quarterback, committed. Kid in our backyard committed this weekend, which is a huge get.
Like going through the recruiting process, like I thought he would be like a Georgia or like SEC type level.
I think Texas A&M offered him.
Yeah,
Texas A&M's got deep pockets when it comes to NIL. I know that.
But it's just, I think without Brock Purdy, we don't get him.
No, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
No, I'm saying like with the Campbell era in general, like.
Well,
he doesn't even like his childhood. He was Iowa State good football. Like my childhood where we struggled, and that's gone. Like we've like the Campbell era, and like especially with Purdy being as great as he is, it's just the brand of Iowa State football is completely changed, and it's just especially next year with like Jaden Higgins and Rocco, it's gonna be a fun year, I think.
Yeah. And I think our schedule is probably the most favorable schedule we've had in quite a while too. I mean,
yeah, like it came out and like versus the last year that came out, like man, we might just win 3 games because like the gambling stuff and like we had to play at BYU, at Cincinnati, which we've won both those games. Which I thought like giving those 2 road games with the new teams, like those are the 2 toughest road games to go to, and we won. And that at Baylor or BYU game when Sama went crazy and like, man, we had a fun football season.
Yeah,
like,
we did.
It was kind of shocking. Like the ones where we have no expectations, like those are the best years where we just everything was.
We're the hunter, not the hunted.
Yeah,
I mean, like
we
Eric
said that a
Hess
million
has
times.
said,
Yeah, it's just crazy that we had the same record as Brock Purdy's senior year.
Yeah,
which is insane because Brock Purdy's in the Super Bowl. Brees Hall is one of the best running backs in the NFL.
And how does David Montgomery not make the Pro Bowl and Jameer Gibbs does?
Yeah, he played so great.
Yeah, I think that's
game.
a travesty. Well, I don't know what you got on your list to talk about, but if you look ahead, I mean, we got it. Like I said, we got at Texas on the Goofy Longhorn Network on Tuesday.
Last time.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to bring this up. I mean, we talked about it in the last pod, those stupid hand signals. And I had to look at the bear's claw crap yesterday. And your brother looks at me and goes, you're talking about the signal looked like it was from World War II that we talked about last time.
Yeah, it does.
All you got to do is open your hand with the Baylor guys, and it's the same thing. And now we got one, the Texas thing. TCU is going to bring in their stroke victim hand signal, whatever it is. So we got them on Saturday. And then Cincinnati the following Tuesday, right before Valentine's Day. And
they beat Texas Tech yesterday.
And that's at Cincinnati is a tough place to play too. So
I think we won there last time with Abdul Nader and George Yang senior year. So
so I mean, they're like we've said a million times, and then here we go. I mean, Texas Tech at home, then at Houston, West Virginia, and Oklahoma to finish out February. So we got a few on there that you might be able to circle. I mean, Oklahoma's not playing that great right now. West Virginia lost to Cincinnati yesterday. Texas Tech lost a couple in a row, but that at Houston game is going to be a bear, and the Cincinnati game at Cincinnati, I think, is too. So if we can get these next two, I think we'll be riding high.
The Houston being favored at Allen Fieldhouse and then losing by whatever they did.
They got rolled.
Oh man! But
then people are still saying that they think Houston's still the best team in the conference. They've lost in Hilton and Allen Fieldhouse,
which that's expected.
If you're the best team in the conference, I don't know.
Who wins? No one should expect ever. No one ever should. I don't care who you are. You should never be favored at Allen Fieldhouse. I don't care who Kansas has.
Oh, favored or no? Right.
How?
Right.
How did that happen? Vegas usually knows, and man, they missed it there because when Allen Fieldhouse gets any momentum, they could just bury teams fast, and the refs
and they get the calls.
They get every call, which. Man, I think Baylor fans kind of feel like we won a national championship, so we should get calls too. And I don't know.
Yeah, so I was listening to that Baylor pod, and they were calling. This guy was calling Scott Drew a Hall of Fame coach. Do you agree with that? Really?
Think of what he's done to a Baylor program.
I mean, so you're going to reward him for turning around a program that somebody shot somebody?
Is Tom Izzo a Hall of Fame coach?
Yeah, he's won multiple national championships.
No, he's won one. He's been a Final Four.
Interesting. I thought he won.
Scott Drew's been multiple Elite Eights.
How many Final Fours has Scott Drew been to?
He's been to one, and he won it. So
I don't know.
Just shows you how. I think that shows you what a great example of just the media and the image of the program.
But Michigan State's been to the Final Four a lot,
and they've lost every time.
But they've been to the Final Four a lot,
three or four times. But I'm not saying Michigan State's a poor program, but I'm just saying
comparison.
But I'm just saying he's won that one national championship, which could have been Iowa State's national championship.
Yeah.
Which kind of hurts. That's why I don't have anything against Tom Izzo. He's given us great transfers. Corey Lucius, Chris Allen. Not recruiting Mate.
That's right.
So,
well, I mean, you got top of the conference right now. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams with 3 losses.
Yeah.
KU, Houston, Baylor, Iowa State, Texas Tech.
And part of me thinks we're going to get to the tournament, and I think
5,
either a bunch of the Big 12 teams are going to get upset, or everyone's just like, oh, they're up, because this year is going to be brutal for a bunch of teams. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to go through the whole Kansas City and us win it. I think
that'd be exhausting.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be a bad thing if we lost the second weekend or the second game or whatever. So that's completely changed.
I mean, Kansas State's sitting 4 and 5, and the standing thing in ESPN's got them 3rd from the bottom. We'll talk about an implosion. Kansas State is freaking. Their FFA chapter could beat them right now.
Yeah,
the local high school FFA pickup league could beat them. They're a mess.
Thank God Tang got teed up and gave us that game, because I don't know if we won that game if Tang gets teed up, because that game was very dicey for the whole time, and I don't know. It just seems like the refs kind of just take the game by the throat every single game, and I'm tired of it. and like the block charge rule, it's just completely back to what it used to be.
Yeah,
like
no, it's right, exactly.
Exactly. Like Gilbert, like 70% of his charges, I'm just like, I don't think that was a charge. I think Gilbert just exaggerates, and he's just great at it, and he sells it every time, and they call it, and the refs love to call those type of charges.
Well, him throwing his hair around doesn't hurt, but like we said earlier in the year, I mean, they have gone back to what they were. I also don't think kids are trying to take charges as much as they used to. I mean, last year we tried to take a lot of them. We're not doing that this year.
I just if that shot counts. Like this podcast is about, oh crap, Gilbert is freaking on fire.
Yeah.
Milan is one of the clutchest players ever at Iowa State.
Yeah.
But now it's just
Keshon's playing lights out right now. I mean, he plays with such joy. I mean, he's always happy. I mean,
he's really taken up. I think he's taken up the lack of production that Lipsy has really given us, like before the injury. I think Lipsy has not been the same ever since his injury, and
yeah, that's true.
I think Chris Jones also helped when Lipsy was hurt, and I think if Chris Jones just hits a couple of those threes that he missed that are in and out, it's just we win, and it's gonna be that close every game.
Yeah, you have a hard time convincing me that we play the Baylors, the Houstons, or whatever. We can't shoot 14 threes and win. I mean, because that means we're pounding it inside, and I'm not sure that's the good.
We forced turnovers, like 18 turnovers on Baylor, and we didn't really execute on all of them, and we outread them on like it's crazy. Like listening to the broadcast, and we out rebound them on offense, rebounds.
Right, offensive, yeah,
which is insane.
Yeah,
but I don't know. There's a lot of positives to take from the game, and I think
it's another night in the Big 12.
Which. Do you remember any games where we've had two buzzer beaters and like the first half buzzer beater and the second half buzzer beater? Obviously, the second one didn't count, but it's just like, man, that was a great game.
Yeah, it was. Keshon's was a big one because that gave us a little momentum heading into half. We go in down 15 or whatever it would have been.
And he kind of shot it too early, too. I was like, what are you shooting? Oh, it went in. It's like, sick. But, yeah, I don't know.
Trey didn't have a very good night. Taman had a below average night, and we still almost beat one of the best teams in the conference and in the country right now. So got to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, it just sucks that Scott Drew gets tossed and they still win, and but can't really complain.
So, somebody, the Baylor podcast guy said TJ said that was a great officiating crew or something like that. I don't know if that's true. I didn't have listened to his press conference, but man, they didn't like him saying that.
Yeah, do you think it's time for Ward to start over Robert Jones, or
I don't know.
You like him coming off the bench and give us a spark? Because I think. I don't know, because
I mean, Hassan is such a foul magnet right now. I mean, he gets in foul trouble almost every game, and if he starts and he comes in and gets two quick ones before the first TV timeout, then we're in a world of hurt.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think what he's probably doing is just kind of seeing what version of Rob are we getting tonight.
Yeah,
I mean, is he making his free throws? Is he making the floaters? I mean.
My worry is we're just going to get to March, and then one team's like, okay, we're just going to foul Robert Jones if he's in crunch time every time.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, that's what you're going to almost have to go Trey King at the 5. But, I mean, because having Rob or Hassan in is the same thing when it comes to free throws right now.
That's true. But at least Ward gives us a rim protection. And
yeah, right. But, I don't know. I mean, but what about Kansas, though? I mean, you think about Kansas, everybody's talking about how great they are. They've got 5 players.
That's it.
They're one injury away from being a 500 team the rest of the way out.
If Dickinson goes down.
Yeah, or Burfy or Furphy or whatever the hell his name is.
He just makes
He's playing fantastic right now. If he gets hurt or their point guard gets hurt, I mean, they totally changes the complexion of that team. They just have zero depth right now. Or they get in foul trouble. But Self's the kind of coach he's going to figure out a way to keep him out of foul trouble. So I don't know. It'll be a fun ride in February, that's for sure.
My wish is if we can get Chris Jones more consistent from 3 on the road. I think he's fantastic in Hilton, and I just want Jackson to just go for it, shoot threes.
Yep, I do too.
I think if he can drive the lane, he can make free throws. I'm confident he can make free throws. He's a great defender, and I think obviously him being a sophomore and. I think he's gonna have a great career at Iowa State because
he turned down a couple yesterday that I was kind of yelling at the TV for him to shoot it because we needed a 3-point threat and he turned him down and ended up getting hung up in the lane and tried to do a Milan shot.
Like all the threes that Trey King's gonna try to take, I want like those to be Milan, Jackson, and like Gilbert. nailing them.
Yeah.
Like that, and he had that and 1-3 and misses a free throw, which is kind of demoralizing. And
did Trey even attempt a 3 yesterday?
they had one, I think, in the corner. But yeah, it's I don't know. Obviously, we've gone in circles and trying to. It's just, man, that 3 where you have that celebration of, we had a buzzer beater, and it's just like, oh man, I was celebrating halfway through. I'm like, I'm not sure that was.
Yeah, we all jumped up out of. Remember when we made the field goal, or Texas missed the field goal? Yep. It was the same reaction. We all jumped up out of the couch, and then we realized, it probably doesn't count.
Yeah,
too bad.
Oh well. So yeah,
the Trey was over 2 yesterday. Taman was over. Taman took 1-3 yesterday.
It's just like this week is going to be a whole Super Bowl week. It's going to be all about the Super Bowl, all about Brock Purdy and the spotlight. And
finally getting paid a little bit. Toyota stepped up a little bit. And then, I don't know why there's so much Brock Purdy hate on social media. They were showing a video of a Toyota Sienna and saying, Brock Purdy's the right guy to pitch these things. Give me a break.
Yeah, if they can just, my dream is him just to go play in the Super Bowl, 5 touchdowns.
Right, that would be awesome.
The last one, just flip off the camera.
Well, you really think Brock's going to flip off the camera? No way.
The last person ever.
Brock moons the camera on the way off the floor.
The last person to ever do that would be him, but
no. Kittle might.
And it was hearing. Did you hear the CEO talk about the CEO of the 49ers came up to when Brock Purdy was and he said, "Oh, our third best."
Shanahan told the owner of the 49ers,
yeah, that he's the third best quarterback is our best one, and it's kind of awkward because we're paying $120 million, and the other one we traded 3 first-round draft picks for or whatever it was.
Yeah, he said that in training camp a year ago.
Yeah,
before when Trey Lance and Garoppolo, or whatever the hell his name is, were the 2 top guys, and he's pulls himself because I think our third string quarterback's our best one. He goes, are you kidding me?
It just reminds me of when he was a freshman and when he got it. He was not he was a late he wasn't here until the summer. He didn't graduate early and come what most kids do at Iowa State, and the murmurs were yep, Brock Purdy's the guy. You just gotta wait time.
Yeah.
Because Kyle Kemp was there. It was going to be Kyle Kemp's last year, and he goes down against Iowa, and obviously we had Zeb Nolan for a couple of games, and
in the Oklahoma State game.
it's all rest is history.
Yep, that was awesome.
So
yeah. So what are you going to do for the Super Bowl?
I don't know.
You going to watch with us?
We haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it yet either.
I think it's just going to be it's going to be so nervous.
I agree with Bill Burr. Bill Burr says if you're a true football fan, you don't go to a Super Bowl party. Because you got a bunch of people there that don't watch football and they talk all the time. Then they shut up during the commercials, and then they talk about the commercials during the game, and nobody's paying attention to the game. So I actually agree with him a little bit on this. Bill Burr, if you don't know who he is, fantastic comedian, one of our favorite comedians of all time.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun week, and if we can get that last win at Texas on Longhorn Network, it should just be.
Oh,
great.
yeah, it'd be awesome.
We haven't.
So how do we get it? So what do we got to do? Got to sign up for Sling TV for another?
I don't know.
Pay the monthly fee for Sling TV for? I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead yet either. So did you buy any monkey magnets?
What?
Did you see that commercial?
No.
It was the first TV time out. These things called monkey magnets.
Oh, the cabinets?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were like, those are kind of sick. We need some.
But why monkey magnets? That was the dumbest name for
the perfect thing was the mailbox thing.
Yeah.
Just working the post office for 2 weeks, that would be perfect. There's so many mailboxes that don't shut.
Sure.
That would be perfect.
That was funny. I would say, where did they come up with the name monkey magnets?
Which I haven't seen a commercial like that on our in a long time. It used to be ShamWow.
And then they had the Navage thing where you wash out your sinuses. I said, that looks like a really good wedding gift we're going to give to somebody.
Yeah. It used to be ShamWow, and you get a free 2 Snuggies for free. Free shipping.
And what was the other one? There's another one. The Flex Steel, where they paint the bottom of the boat and with the screen door.
They cut it in half, and then they go on the boat, and perfect.
Yeah, well, I went. Again, we gave some shout outs, some businesses that we've been to. I went down to Des Moines to help my niece move this weekend. Shout out to Christy and my brother Barry. Stopped in Ogden and heard of this place called the Lucky Pig many times. Fantastic. So if you're in the Ames area, you've probably heard of it. But if you've never been there, drive the 20 miles or whatever it is over to Ogden. Is downtown Ogden. Fantastic food. Fantastic waitress. Don't remember her name. Told her she should teach a school on how to be a server. She was phenomenal. Food was phenomenal. So the Lucky Pig is one of my new favorite stops on the travels through Iowa.
And like having great service in a restaurant now is a huge deal because man, if you go
reasonable prices,
if you go to a restaurant and there's terrible service, it's just like okay, I'm never coming here ever again.
Right.
And like the bar has been lowered for that.
I told her I went to a restaurant 5 years ago, and this is exactly what happened. Your mom and I are sitting there, and the waitress comes over and looks at us, and the only thing she looks at is goes, "Food." That's all she said. She didn't say, "What do you want to drink?" She said,
"I want my oil changed."
Yeah, I told that to the waitress yesterday, and she goes, "I would have just said, really? That's what we're here for. This is called a restaurant, right?" Yeah. No, she was terrific. So Lucky Pig is one of my new favorite places. If you're ever in the Humboldt area, stop at Tractor Lift Brewery, downtown Humboldt, run by Larry Balke. He used to work at he used to be a helicopter mechanic out of the Boone unit, so he's a veteran. I can go support him. Next door is 716 Main, which is the same guy that owns the one in Peyton, Iowa, which is another restaurant you've probably heard of. And then our local one here in Humboldt, in Clarion, where you live, is Fuel, the pizza place. Another small town, fantastic food place. So just giving you some suggestions. If you're driving around, you can find those places. And
yep, Fuel was same building as where Sports Graphics was, where Grandpa and Tom and Pat.
Yeah, my father-in-law, who just passed away on New Year's Day, your grandfather used to run a bakery in that same building where Fuel is, and for 40 years, something like that. Yeah. So there's a lot of good places to eat around town or around Iowa if you just have to search them out a little bit. I think the Lucky Pig in Ogden won the best tenderloin in the state once or twice, possibly. But I had the Cuban sandwich. It was terrific. So, well, remember, we got gold shirts at soundthesirens.com. If you need one for Saturday for the TCU game, you can order it at It's Sound the Sirens, just like the links on our YouTube. And by the way, we got a bunch of YouTube watchers, it look like, this week. So keep telling your friends, like us, subscribe, do whatever you got to do to make sure you notice when we have a new content coming out. And
just enjoy this week. And
this week.
Purdy's in the freaking Super Bowl.
Purdy's in the Super Bowl. A lot of Iowa State love going to be out there.
If Purdy can make Taylor Swift cry, that'd be so great. That'd be perfect. It's a perfect way to end the season. Like, I think there's a big portion of America that just wants obviously I have no problem with the relationship. Obviously, it's just funny to make fun of because everyone's just so.
There's nothing wrong with Taylor Swift.
Everyone's she's
so talented.
Growing up, she was a monster. She's every song is just a hit.
Yeah.
And ever since she's been in the spotlight has been freaking awesome. And just because she's dating one of the best, obviously the best tight end, if not Kittle, in the NFL, and it's just wild how people just take things and just make everything so controversial,
so negative. I mean,
so bad.
Taylor Swift's net worth is probably about the same as Iowa's GDP. I mean, she's got so much money, and she's got a concert. Like I said, she does have a concert in Japan.
Yeah, I think she's
got to jump on a private jet to make it to Vegas on time. So,
it's gonna be a fun. What do you know what broadcast it is for Super Bowl? You have any idea?
I mean,
Fox or
what channel? I know that's CBS.
CBS.
I think it's CBS.
I think Fox is next year because Tom Brady is going to be on the call for Super Bowl next year.
So if it's CBS, who's going to be
Tony Romo and
Jim Nance?
Which I don't think that would not be bad. I think Jim Nance does a pretty decent job on the big
games.
I like
Jim Nance, yeah.
And I don't think he's in the Final Four this year, but his first time without him. Or something like that.
With Jim Nance is not going to do the Final Four this year?
Which I don't know if it's going to ever happen. I want Gus Johnson back in the March Madness.
Do you see what Gus Johnson, his slip of the tongue yesterday?
When he was Caleb Clark game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What
so he says, somebody played the clip for me. He says something about, he was saying, and I'm going to screw it up, but we can swear in her, right?
Yeah.
And so he said something about she lost that shit or something like that. It was pretty funny. I've only seen the clip once, and it was.
But I think the swear words are ESPN's letting Pat McAfee just kind of very loosey goosey, I think the swearing on TV is coming. I think it's completely changed.
Well, I mean, my opinion of that is that podcasts have desensitized us to that, because all of them, like Rogan, is just downright nasty. Sometimes you get his comedian buddies on there, and they're filthy. I mean. But I remember the first time I was listening to it and how much they were swearing. It was a little bit of a shock value to it. But now a lot of podcasts are that way. And then when you watch regular TV and they're not doing it, I mean, that's all run by the FCC. They're the ones that regulate it. So I think there's a little bit of desensitizing that's going on. But it was pretty funny that Gus Johnson did that. I'm not even sure. I think it was the Iowa game that he did it on. But.
Like, got to give it to Baylor. If Iowa State had that type of reffing in Hilton, our chance would have been 10 times worse. They used to just, ref, you suck. We said way worse.
The Kansas game, they blurred the ones our student section was chanting in the Kansas games were pretty bad when Dickinson was playing. But on the broadcast, you can't understand it.
And Grady Dick the next year, the year before, which
we got to get more original, like you said. I mean, when Kirk Heinrich is playing and they start chanting Harry Potter, and you can see it.
Or Jenna Worthless.
Jenna Worthless, yeah. We got to get a little more original with some of our chants because, like Baylor saying, "Ref, you suck." I mean, come on, that's pretty unoriginal.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, it's gonna be a fun week. And,
Niners are favored by 2.5. Looks like so.
Which I'm not in love with that. I kind of wish they were underdogs, but
yeah.
I think the Chiefs, the narrative on the Chiefs were the negative on the Taylor Swift thing, and they weren't as good offensively as they have been in the past. But their defense is good, and we just need to protect Purdy and I think they need to give McCaffrey the ball more.
Yeah.
Like balance it out more. I think way too pass heavy with Shanahan. I think especially the last Super Bowl with Garoppolo. I think just put it in your best. Like obviously. There's so much narratives like Purdy's like the 10th best player on the 49ers. Just like
who was it? Cam Newton said that.
It's like Cam Newton. Purdy's already won more playoff ones than Cam Newton ever did.
Yeah,
which there's got to be jealousy and just
there's no doubt.
But anyways, it's gonna be a fun week, and I think Purdy pulls it off, and we're coming back with the next pod where it's like my dream is Purdy coming back to Hilton with the Super Bowl. Like that would be crazy. The Super Bowl trophy. And
that would be fun.
And like, imagine if a couple of years where Cytown is built, and imagine if there was a watch party this weekend at Cytown. Like, it would be massive event, and it would be a Pyro Night District 2.0. It would be fantastic. Yeah. And I think that could happen.
Yeah.
Like, this will not be obviously Purdy's first Super Bowl, but we always think we're going to have multiple Super Bowls. But I think Purdy can make there a couple times, and I think that'll happen, and that'll be a fun day.
That would be. I mean, imagine if Cytown was open today. It'd just be packed Sunday. So, you'd be standing room only. But got to keep them vertical. Got to keep them healthy.
Yep. So, appreciate you guys listening.
All right. Go beat the Longhorns. Horns down on Tuesday, and then got to do the whatever their signal is. Horny Toad Frogs or whatever there.
Rodney Terry's going to cry, but it'll be okay.
Yeah. It's all right.
All right.
Go Cyclones.